For those of you joining us today, this is going to be Roll Again. This is our talkback show for Barrier City's New Orleans Saving Throw Society's first campaign. We are releasing this on all platforms. However, if you want to hear it in the future, you will have to join the Patreon. This is a one-time freebie for you to convince you to give us money. Not a lot of money. It's $5 a month if you want to join at the tier where you get bonus material, or $1 a month if you want to join the ability to join our Discord and talk to us and stuff like that. And we're on Discord a lot, so you can probably talk to us pretty frequently. I pretty much live there. Introducing who's with us. We only have 2 cast members right now. Anthony might join us in a little bit. My name is Samson. I am the DM, and I will be running today's episode of Roll Again. And we have Joe Gailey.
Hey everybody, I'm Joe, and I play Zeb, as you probably know.
And we have Eric Trulick.
Hey guys, I'm Eric. I play Chomp, where I sound vastly different than I do now.
I was going to say, he's not going to use the Chomp voice. Imagine if you did the whole thing in the Chomp voice.
Hey everybody, I'm Chomp.
There he is. Welcome.
This is Roll Again. This is our talkback show where we talk about the episodes released, and we will answer questions that we were given to us to answer. I have a couple questions that were given to me by some people that have listened. I have some questions that I've come up with. Other people might have questions too. But my first question is, the two of you, for those of you in the audience that don't realize this, this is not the first Barrier Cities campaign that I have run. I have been running New York City in a private game for the last 2.5 years, and now we're doing New Orleans. So my first question is for Eric, who's been playing in New York City as a very different character from Chomp. How different is New Orleans Barrier Cities from New York City Barrier Cities?
Just the game style is vastly different. New York's a play-by-post, so it's whenever we pick up our phones and happen to be on Discord. So I also live on Discord, so I'm staring at my phone waiting for other people to start playing, where it could be like we go a week and nobody's posted and I'm chomping at the bit. But I guess similar vibes. It's the same world.
It's similar, but I mean, if thinking back to how New York City started, immediately went into Feywild's nonsense with stuff that I'm not going to reveal here in case it ever comes into play here, versus the first conflict we had in New Orleans was the gunmen that came in. It was like humans as opposed to Feywild's bullshit.
I mean, it's early yet. We could still go to the Feywilds. It started with a bookshop getting wrecked in New York, and I was shooting guns, so there's
That's
time.
True. That's true. Eric plays a human gunman in the other campaign. That other campaign I'm working on with an artist to turn it into a webcomic that hopefully you guys will all get to read and see and participate in some aspects. Joe, this is your first time playing D&D ever, and you're doing it on a platform that is for everyone to watch you do it. How do you feel about that?
I think I'm mostly fine. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really expecting to be doing that. Samson just posted on Facebook, I think it was, I'm looking for somebody to play D&D, and I was like, I've always wanted to do that. So I sent him a message. We hadn't talked in a long time, probably over a decade. And and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, actually it's actually a podcast. Are you cool doing that? And I'm like, I guess so. And then all of a sudden I'm on Discord and we're talking about microphones and, audio setup and recording dates and this and that. And Samson just keeps messaging, hey, you still cool? Everything's still okay? And I'm
you
like,
were really quiet during a lot of it. I'm like, hey, Joe, are you in over your head right now? Are you cool?
I mean, I don't know. I was just kind of along for the ride. Thankfully, I already have, the audio setup stuff from just being a musician. So that made that barrier of entry, a lot easier. So, but yeah, it's been fun to play. Because I've been listening to D&D podcasts now for many years, and really enjoying them, and I've always wanted to play. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to do it and to kind of stretch those muscles a little.
So that's kind of interesting. I've been playing D&D, oh god, since I was very young. And you were kind of introduced to D&D by actual play podcasts. Eric, how did you get into D&D?
I have not actually been playing that long relatively. I've been playing maybe 3 or 4 years. And I just had a friend who came up to me one day, and I'm starting a game that is for people that have never played before. Would you be interested? I said, hell yeah, I'll give it a shot. And then I started binge watching Critical Role to try to learn how to play.
So I had a weird experience where I went, background. If you're a Jewish person in New York, you've probably been to Jewish sleepaway camp. That's like every Jewish kid in New York goes to Jewish sleepaway camp. That's just a thing. I went to Jewish sleepaway camp, and one of the counselors, he was an older camper at the time. I think he became a counselor pretty soon after, but he was an older camper, and I was like 11 or 12, I think, maybe even 10. And he's like, "Do you want to play D&D?" Because we like, he knew I was into nerdy stuff, and I read comic books, and was like, "Sure, how?" And 5e was not out yet, so my first time playing D&D was 3.5, which is a lot more complicated than 5th edition. And I wasn't that into it because it was a lot of rules and a lot to understand as an 11-year-old in like the back of a bunk room in the middle of the woods at night. And it was kind of weird. And I was like, I want to be an elf. And he's like, okay, here's all your options for like different kinds of elves. And like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be an elf. He's like, no, you have to do stuff. I'm like, what does that mean? Elves are elves. So it took me a little bit to grasp, but we played like 5 sessions over the course of that 8-week summer. And I kind of got it more. And then I came back to Long Island, and I was really excited about possibly doing this more, but I was also really nervous to tell other people that I played D&D because it was like one of those super nerdy, geeky things that like losers play D&D. The Stranger Things had not happened yet where everyone was like, D&D is cool now. So I kind of didn't play for a long time. I played a little bit in college after... and this is 5th edition's back out, so my first time I was playing, I played like 5 sessions of 3.5, and then I didn't play again. I played 5th edition, and I played in college, and no one ever could commit time to it, and I was really excited, and I was like, we need a DM, and then no one would ever DM. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'll be the DM. And I've just been the DM forever since then.
Do you miss, like, do you play as a player at all, or are you pretty much a DM every time you're doing something?
I would love to be a player. Every time that I've had the chance to be a player, something has happened where the campaign fell apart because of scheduling, or my life got too busy, or other stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to let the campaign that I'm running fall apart, so I'll have to bow out of the campaign that I'm being a player in.
Or we're going to start a podcast, so we have to bow out of
so
that game.
I was going to get to that. I was a player. The most recent time I was a player was me and Eric were actually playing in a campaign together, a Wild by Witchlight, which is fantastic. It's a Dark Fae Carnival campaign. And I had created my favorite character I think I've ever played. His name was Billy, and he was a rogue, bard, warlock. And it was crazy, and I got really into it. I wrote songs that he would sing to perform to the carnival, and I would sing them on camera in front of everybody else. And we did all this stuff, and I was running New York City we were coming up on like a year and a half of running New York City, and I was devoting a lot of time to that. And I was playing in this campaign once a week, once every other week. And I had this idea. I want to do a podcast. I wanted to do an actual play. I think the campaign is good. I think the idea is sound. I think this universe is great. And I want to do New Orleans because I love New Orleans. And I realized that the moment that I said that I had committed myself, and then I found people to do it with. And like, I can't do that and be a player in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, which sucked because I was a player in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Eric was a player in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and Anthony was a player in Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Anthony had just joined.
We all quit the same week. And
at the time, I was in a Thursday game we met every Thursday. I was in a Friday game we met every Friday, which the Friday game is the first game I ever joined like 3-4 years ago, and we're still going. I have since bowed out of the Thursday game after I had a kid, because my wife was also pregnant during the time when we decided we're going to do a podcast. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I gotta get rid of one of these. And it just happened to have to be Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
So, yes, I miss being a player. That's why when Anthony ran, it's a super secret game that one day we'll release to people on the Patreon. So join the Patreon. But I got to be a player in our Halloween one shot. And I love being a player. Because I don't have to be the world. Being the world is a lot. Being the world is a lot, but I love every aspect of it. And I love other games too. I love running 10 Candles. If you, again, join the Patreon, you can see a game of 10 Candles that we played called The Mall. If other people who have played 10 Candles with me before hearing this, yes, I've run The Mall for you before. I run The Mall a bunch. It's a good concept that I came up with, and it's always different and always vastly changes. So if you're hearing that the mall recording is online, it's not your mall, it's our mall. But yeah. And I like Kids on Brooms, which is like, what if a Wizarding World TTRPG that we're not going to name the name of for copyright reasons existed as a role-playing game, which is great. It's really fun. I love Kids on Bikes, which is the same people. I've always wanted to try Dimension 20 made their own version of Kids on Bikes called Never Stop Blowing Up, which is like an 80s action film version. It's like, what if a TTRPG was based on Die Hard? It's like, I would love to play that. I'd love to play that game system. Joe, have you ever played any other TTRPGs at all?
Nope, I haven't. I've played
so just
a lot
cold
of
turkey, straight all in.
Yeah, I've played a lot of board games.
Okay.
I love board games. And I've played a lot of like video games that are RPG, like a variety of those types of things, and I've played like, Magic the Gathering, and, I collected and played Pokemon cards and like that kind of stuff, but nothing, no like games of this nature. That's for sure.
Speaking of Jewish summer camp, I was a big Magic the Gathering. Me and my friends played Magic the Gathering like it was no one's business in summer camp. And it was the most expensive hobby in the whole world.
Yeah. It's kind of limiting in that way.
Yeah. Our counselors would try to get us to go like play basketball, and we'd like sit on the black tie playing Magic the Gathering, stopping basketball from happening entirely because we were blocking the court. And then I didn't play it for a while, and I got back into it during the pandemic over Zoom. I set up like multiple me and my friends set up like multiple cameras, and like you could see the playfield, you could see our faces, and we'd play Magic. And I spent too much money building like this amazing deck, and then stopped playing Magic again because the world opened back up. And then I actually gave all my Magic cards to Rowan, because Rowan plays like super competitively in leagues. Rowan plays Magic better than anyone I've ever seen play Magic. Like, the level of strategy that goes into Rowan playing is insane. And Rowan's asked me to play with them before, and I've always made up excuses because I'm honestly intimidated to play Magic with Rowan.
That's fair. You can only get your ass kicked so many times, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
I've been playing a lot of chess recently, and
Really?
I've got the chess.com app, and I was like really excited to be playing all my friends, and I quickly realized that I am the worst chess player in my group of friends because I
Probably
kind
not
of
worse
just keep
than
getting
me.
my ass kicked. And it's like I was telling my friend last night, it's like I play chess like it's the Ouija board. Like I put my hand on the piece, and then wherever the spirit moves my hand, that's where the piece goes. And that's probably why I lose a lot.
Nice. How about you, Eric? Before D&D, were you big into any games?
Not particularly. I have a gaming PC that I built, and I have a bunch of video games on it, and sometimes I'll play a video game, but I just don't have time, and I've never just been that big a gamer. The only game I think I've stopped my life because I love the game so much was the Assassin's Creed franchise, and then after it left Xbox 360, I couldn't justify buying a gaming console just to keep playing this game, which is why I eventually bought a gaming PC. But now I have too much shit going on and I can't play as much as I like to. I played bunch of Skyrim when it came out. That's why my first character, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So I'm like, well, in Skyrim, I like being the sneaky guy going around with a bow, so I guess I'll just be that, and he's a ranger rogue.
Yeah, Stealth Archer is everybody starts with Stealth Archer in Skyrim, I'm pretty sure.
Love Stealth Archer.
I'm not a video game person. I tried really hard. Everyone loved video games when we were kids. I had an N64. I played Super Smash Brothers.
I remember your N64.
I know.
I remember I would want to come over just to play Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah. I loved Super Smash Brothers because you played with other people. I did not play any of the 1v, like the you versus the computer Super Smash. I didn't care about that. I like games that you play with people. I like participation games. I can't sit in front of a game and play by myself silently for hours. That's just not for me. I never had a computer like good enough, or built a computer good enough to do like PC gaming, like Call of Duty or whatever online with other people. So I didn't do that kind of stuff either. And for 4 years of my life, I was a 911 dispatcher, and I stared at 9 computer screens for 12-hour shifts. And the computer screens were like laid out in front of me, like everywhere I looked was computer screens. And I stared at them for 12-hour shifts, sometimes as many as 5-6 days a week if we had that much overtime. I just didn't want to look at screens when I left work. I bought a Switch. I thought, hey, I'm going to play Switch. I'll play Switch. I was on night shift. I need something to do when I don't switch my schedule back, and I'm going to be awake while everyone's sleeping. I bought a Switch, and I promptly realized I should not own this Switch because I don't touch it. I played one of the Pokemon games because that was like nostalgic, but I beat it in like 2 days, and then I was like, I don't have the patience to go catch every Pokemon of the 1,500 fucking Pokemon that exist now.
Yeah, I mean, when it was 150, I feel like it was
attainable.
Now,
yeah. I did it once on Red version.
Yeah.
And I did it as an adult.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Anyway, we are in this podcast. We're doing this story, Barrier Cities, New Orleans. How does this... So, Eric, the other D&D games you've played other than the Barrier Cities universe, I'm assuming are high fantasy kind of games. They're in a completely fantastical world that is not based off the reality that we live in.
Yeah.
So I want to get each of your opinions, Eric and Joe. when you first were pitched the idea, probably by me, do you want to play D&D set in the real world? How did you think that was going to work?
Thought it would be interesting. I didn't know exactly how, because D&D is primarily high fantasy. It's built around it. But that's why my first character I made for the New York City game was a gunslinger, because I thought, okay, I could adapt that most easily to modern day.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
I mean, I have no experience playing, so it didn't really throw me back. In fact, like, if we were to ever play a campaign that was in a totally high fantasy world, I'd be like, wow, this is weird. You know, because that's literally not my experience.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, some of my favorite podcasts that I've listened to are kind of along that vein. So I feel like it kind of naturally just, I don't know, it kind of makes sense. And I think if everybody's willing to, you know, agree to that concept, and we're all, you know, willing to just like accept that that's what it is, and like work together to create a narrative that makes sense in that world, that anything really can work, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I think like we've, you know, I mean, we've played however many times now, but I think we're, you know, working well together and like starting to get to know each other as you do when you do things with other people. And so I think it kind of, like, it's a really great world, and I'd love to know more about like how, the conception of it in your own brain. But like, I think if people come together and want to, you know, create something, it kind of doesn't matter. It's about the people coming together and working together to form that narrative.
So, I've had the idea for this universe for a really long time, because of a book that I read when I was a little kid. And it's a book series that every time I've ever brought it up to anybody, no one ever knows this book. And I've come to accept that I think it just existed in the East Islip Public Library and nowhere else. It is by Will Shetterly, and it's a book called Elsewhere. And it has a sequel called, I believe, Never Never. And it's about this city on the border of Fairy. And the city's in the real world. The city's in this real world, and the whole world knows that this one city borders Fairy. And in this one city, and it's not like my concept where it's like multiple cities and this all happened out of nowhere. It's like for all of time, this one city has bordered Fairy, and like elves live in the city and humans live in the city, and there's like werewolves and crap and vampires and witches, and they all live in this city, and it's a really fucked up place to live because like really dark. Probably shouldn't have read this book as like a 10-year-old, because it was like definitely like you should be like a rated R book. It was my first experience with a sex scene was this book kind of thing. And this book stuck with me, by Will Shetterly. I don't know if this person, I don't know how old they were when they wrote the book. If they're still around, if they ever hear this, thank you for writing this book. It inspired this whole idea. But Elsewhere and Never Never were these two books about this character named Ron, who ran away from home to live in this place, lived in this bookstore, the bookstore was called Elsewhere, and worked for the owner of the bookstore doing different tasks, and got tangled up in a whole bunch of magical bullshit. Eventually, Ron gets turned into a werewolf and loses the ability to speak, because they're not actually a werewolf. They're like a wolf man, where like they are fully canine humanoid, and they can no longer speak, and they have to like deal with the fact that they are now not human anymore, and they can't communicate in the normal ways they would communicate with people, but they have supernatural strength, and they have claws, and they have teeth, and whatever. So it's a very interesting concept, and I was like, once I pieced together D&D, I was like, what if this could be a game you could play in a much broader reality? And then, of course, Dimension 20 did Unsleeping City, which is like D&D in New York City. And the problem was that before they even released Unsleeping City, I had this idea for Barrier City's New York City. And I was like, oh, well, now I can't make that a podcast. I can never make Barrier City's New York City a podcast because everyone's going to say I copied Dimension 20. So I can't do that one. But no one's done New Orleans. And I love the history and the culture of New Orleans and the magic and the music and the different nationalities and ethnicities that live in New Orleans, and the fact that I know so much about New Orleans as somebody, and yes, spoiler alert, I've never lived in New Orleans, but like I've been there a couple times. I have done so much research into it. I mean, one of my theses for my undergraduate was writing about the jazz of New Orleans. I'm in music. I was a music major. I wrote about the jazz history of New Orleans and the jazz history of the New Orleans brass band. And it's just like such a huge part of like my special focus of like, if I'm going to laser focus in on a place, it's going to be New Orleans. And I was like, let's do a campaign in New Orleans. And I've talked to people that have lived there. I know people that live there. My father-in-law lived there for a long time and loves it and talks about it. I've been with him, and it's seeing it through the eyes of somebody that like he basically is a native because of how long he lived there was very interesting. So yeah, it stemmed from this book that I read in 6th grade in Miss Stapleton's class. Eric, I don't know if you were in my class. You might have been in that class with me.
No, not in 6th grade. I had Machida.
Oh, you had Machida. So, fun fact, let's talk about actually how we all know each other. The fun fact is that nobody knew each other except they all knew me. I was the one who tied everyone together, and I decided, hey, I want to play a D&D game with people that I have vetted, that I know I can work well with, and that I think, based off how I know them, they will all work well together. So I've known Eric. I met Eric the first day of 1st grade. And Eric was the best man at my wedding. And my mother has a vendetta against Eric because she blames Eric for me getting an infection that almost killed me.
Still?
I don't know.
I know your sister-in-law probably still hates me because she.
Why?
Everyone hated me right after that. I feel like, but I think I remember her comments more than any for some reason.
Was it Allison?
Or the fact that, yeah,
okay,
it was.
She doesn't. I don't think she even remembers.
Okay.
I knew Eric since 1st grade. We've had a long history. I knew the next person I've known the longest is Anthony. I met Anthony in high school. Me and Anthony played in punk bands together. I played in a punk band, and Anthony played in a punk band, and our two bands played together a lot. And like Anthony's band helped my band record like an album in high school and stuff like that. And we basically every show that either one of us would headline, either my band would headline or his band would headline, we would always have the other band on. So we like knew each other for a long time. And then the next person I've known the longest, I met Joe in college, and we also played in a band. We played in a band called the Spicy Gets, which was like a ska punk band whose claim to fame was we opened for Streetlight Manifesto. And following that, I met Rowan through a previous friend who I'm no longer friends with for various reasons. But I stayed friends with Rowan, so I feel like I won the friendship because I kept Rowan. I think Rowan is still friends with her too, which is fine. People don't have to all be friends together. And then during the pandemic, DM'd a campaign, and Alexis played in that campaign. And Alexis also was one of the people that came. I used to DM everyone accepted game at a gay bar in Arlington, Texas. And it was basically a place where like drag queens and queer people and people of different nationalities and ethnicities and religions could come and play and not be like kicked out by the stupid cis white guys at the comic book store. And they got to play D&D, and it was really fun. And Alexis came to that too, because Alexis was at that point running for either mayor or city council of Arlington, and Alexis came to that a bunch. Alexis has lore. I don't know if either of you've talked to her. She has crazy lore. And the last... am I forgetting anyone other than Katrina? Please don't tell me I forgot somebody. I'll feel really bad. I don't think so.
No, I think that's good.
I met Katrina as
Craig.
a dispatcher. Who? Craig.
Craig.
Can't forget Craig. Craig is the robot that records our sessions for us. Katrina is a dispatcher at the agency I used to dispatch for, and she's still there. And Katrina's a really good friend of mine, and is it was really funny because Katrina was a big nerd and kept it to herself for a long time before she realized that a lot of us at dispatch were big nerds. And then when I was figuring out how to do this, I was like, Katrina, do you want to be in this podcast with me? And she's like, sure. I'm like, by the way, I'm also moving across the country. She's like, oh no. Because I used to live in Texas, but now I live in New York. Which is much better for me for a bunch of reasons. So that's how we all know each other. And then I threw them all together in a game and said, hey, you're going to play with each other now, and we're going to be friends. You gain 5-6 new friends because you know me. That's how it works.
It's like doubled my friend count with that one.
It's hard to make friends as an adult. It's hard to make friends as an adult.
I think that's a universal experience.
Yeah.
And yet we all continue to not make friends as adults, even though we all acknowledge how hard it is to make friends as an adult.
We all talk about it, and none of us get any better at it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Too tired to make friends, man.
Yeah, we're all tired because we all have jobs. We are not superstar D&D people. We don't make yet. We don't make money. You don't make the big bucks from making this podcast until you subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month. No, we don't make the big bucks from anything. We do this with all of our free time because it's a lot of fun. I am a musical instrument repair technician. I previously was a 911 dispatcher. Previously, before that, was again a music repair technician. The pandemic kind of made me stop that for a little bit. And then I also taught music for a long time. And I was a touring musician for a long time. I played on stuff like Warped Tour, and I played on South by Southwest. And I played like House of Blues and stuff like that in punk and ska bands, even though my degrees are in classical music. Joe, what do you do?
So I don't do the podcasting for the big bucks. So my career is where I make the big bucks as a teacher.
The big bucks as a teacher.
Yes, that's why I got into education, is for the money. We don't do it for the income, we do it for the outcome. I hate that phrase. But yeah, I'm a public school music teacher. And then I also am a freelance musician in the Western New York area. And I play a lot of jazz primarily, but I also do wedding band stuff and recording, and I've also done some light touring things as well to kind of supplement my income as a music teacher. But that's my main gig, is a high school music teacher.
Eric, what do you do?
Well, speaking of people that don't use their degrees,
what's yours in education? Also,
education and English. I was a high school-ish English teacher and a special ed teacher, and then I realized I like kids, but I don't like teaching. And I don't want to go home and take my work home with me as I sit here in my garage with my work right next to me that I was just working on. But now, because I've always been good at building stuff and fixing stuff and working with my hands, I am an HVAC controls technician. And what I tell people who give me that really weird look with I don't know what the fuck you just said is I install really fancy thermostats in like Verizon buildings that cool all their equipment so everyone gets phone and internet.
And then everyone else, I'll let say what they do. I mean, I hate this. I don't know what everyone's titles of their positions are called, so I don't want to like say something like, no, actually, that's not what I'm called. The only one I can say confidently, Katrina's a 911 dispatcher. Done. Know that one. Solid. That's the easiest one for me. Anthony does stuff with editing and video production and TV production and stuff like that. And he edits all our episodes, and that's where he makes the big bucks, is editing in our episodes, I'm sure. Rowan works in a comic book and trading card store, which I'm very jealous about. Because I feel like that's a dream job. Alexis does a million jobs, and I'll let her explain them more, but I think the really cool one that she does, which is actually how I stayed in touch with her even after we stopped playing D&D together years ago, is she runs a production company called Sleeping Dragon Productions, where they put on like events for adults in like the fantasy space. So they had like a adult drag vampire ball once and stuff like that, and they do like crazy things like that. Like, for example, if people know what Meow Wolf is, she made it so that I DM'd a game of D&D for Halloween in a Meow Wolf once, which was super cool because Meow Wolf is super fun. And she just like said, hey, you want to do this? They're going to pay you a lot of money. And I said, okay. One of the few times I got paid for D&D stuff. Coming back to the campaign, we had kind of a cold open in the campaign where we start immediately on that scene in the torture chamber. And I had gone over that scene a couple times with Rowan to edit what I was going to say and what was going to be described. Rowan's reactions to stuff. Rowan had not heard the whole thing. Rowan had heard parts. Yes, for everyone's like improv only, I write a lot of my monologues because I am not the best at improving entire long giant monologues. I do pretty good, but sometimes I need to write down my thoughts, and that's part of why like a pre-recorded thing is great, because I can write down my thoughts and have stuff that I've written down and written ahead of time. What did you guys think of that cold open of a torture scene?
I mean, compared to where the episode went, that was pretty light.
Yeah.
It was unexpected. I mean, I think it really is, it was interesting because it's so different from when Cacophony or now Ensemble emerges onto the street, and it's like the music kicks in and you're like, oh, okay, this is where we are. You kind of like don't know where you are. And then you know where you are and you kind of forget about that. I know that as a player, when I was, going through it, I kind of forgot about the cold open almost immediately because I was just like trying to envision this world of like magical New Orleans, and like listening to the music and like kind of getting into the spirit of it. And then we're at the bar and everything's, and then it kind of comes back and surprises you a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that undercurrent continues to develop, as we keep going through.
I've asked other players this because different people have different answers. Eric, who is your favorite PC other than Chomp?
You had to add that last part. Honest, everyone's cool in their own way. I like oh look, my train of thought, there it went. I gotta give Zeb a hand for being a good sport, because I don't know if that was ever an intention, but he got real funny real fast, and he's been a real good sport about playing along with it. The whole Onyx Nix thing is really cool to me.
Yeah.
I've had that thought before, but I don't know if it was the exact circumstance, but playing something that would require 2 character sheets, and then I'm like, that sounds cool, but it also sounds like a fucking headache. So I got to give credit to her for juggling both those at the same time.
That was a labor of love between me and her. It was a bunch of sessions of one-on-one like character creation. Like, how are we going to do this? What triggers different things happening? I'll let her talk more about it. She should be here at one of these pretty soon. She got called into work tonight. That's why she's not here. The shame of being a 911 dispatcher. Sometimes your off days are not your off days. But she was like, I really want to do this very traumatized character, and we both kind of came up with this idea of like, what if you're not just one traumatized character? Joe, same question.
Since Eric's on the podcast,
That's why I said you. It's fine.
I'm gonna give it to Chomp. I'm gonna give Chomp some love because, I mean, first of all, the voice modulation was a huge surprise, and that really that really tickled me when I first heard that, and just his attitude is like exactly what I would expect from a 15-foot long ? Tall? No, long.
So it stands at 8 feet tall, but from tail to tip is 15 feet.
Alligator barbarian, like.
Every time we do that, because we've just gotten into the habit of saying 8 foot tall, 15 foot long, in my back of my head, I go, what is it, one-eyed, one-horned, people eater.
But I just love how I'm finding that as I'm like playing, I will be like trying to get into the character and everything, and I think of I'm like thinking like, okay, what would this character do? What's the character that I'm playing? What would he do? And then like all of a sudden, Chomp says the thing I'm thinking or reacts in the way that I would expect him to react. And it's usually really funny. And I think that adds a lot to, to not to negate, but to help like lighten the mood sometimes.
Yeah.
But in a way that's not like we're just, being goofy for the sake of being goofy. Like it fits with the, with what's going on, So I really appreciate that.
I think my favorite, and this is going to be so cliche that we've all like mentioned each other. I think from a DM perspective, my favorite character is Zeb, because of the fact that I knew you had never played before, and you leaned in so hard on that character, and I had no idea you were going to do a voice, and you're a first-time role player, and then you just come in with the Zeb voice, and I was like, oh my god, there it is. That's Zeb, 100%, sold. And the fact that you were willing to take direction, so we haven't really released what classes people are. Zeb is a rogue, and you had come to me originally saying you basically wanted to play everything that Zeb is, but you said, could it be a ranger? And I was like, it could be a ranger, but you've basically outlined like the perfect inquisitive rogue, this like person trying to discover secrets and stuff like that. and you were just like, yeah, let's do that. And it was just like the way that Zeb plays so well into all the strengths of like what make that class work. And then the other one that I love for personal reasons, Ensemble, because I homebrewed both the race and the Bard subclass that has not yet been revealed yet. That Ensemble is. Because Ensemble is a homebrew race that I created for New York City that was never meant to be a player character race. And Rowan came to me and said, what if I'm a pile of brass instruments? And I said, well, how would that work? And they said, Quinn inhabits a motorcycle. Quinn is a character in New York City. What if Ensemble is the same thing, inhabiting a pile of brass instruments? And I said, I have to now build Daimonia in D&D Beyond somehow. We're going to make it work. And it's really funny because we realized through one of the one-on-one sessions that I had with Rowan while designing the character, we realized that one of us at one point in Rowan's D&D Beyond character changed the race that Rowan's character sheet says to say definitely not Daimonia. So when you look at if you look at Ensemble's character sheet, it says definitely not Daimonia, as opposed to like what the race is.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of us remember doing it. And when we went back and forth a couple times, like who did this, and neither of us know. But I got to homebrew some stuff. There's a bunch of homebrew Easter eggs that are gonna come up. I mean, the whole world's homebrew, but like Rowan's subclass is homebrew. Elix's subclass is homebrew. Rowan's race is homebrew. Yeah.
I'm finding like as I've tried not to read the other character sheets because I feel like that would give me too many ideas ahead of time. But I was just like, okay, this is my first thing, so I'm just gonna be a human, regular ass dude, and I'm gonna play a rogue, which is like one of the staple classes,
yeah,
I presume. And then everybody else is like, oh, I'm this, and I'm also this, and at the same time I'm that, and there's this subclass, it's homebrewed, and there's this, and there's that, and like, oh, I shouldn't be able to do this, but I'm doing that, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So whatever the next thing I'm doing, I have to like read and like look into this more. Because I'm like vanilla man compared to everybody else.
But it's perfect.
Which I think kind of works maybe. Because like, I feel like an analog for myself in a way here. But it's really interesting to see everybody's like, like when we're on Discord, like, ooh, I'm going to play this thing. And I'm like, what the hell do those words even mean? And then I'm like trying to look up what everything means. And so I'm learning a lot as I'm like, seeing everybody else's really creative ideas.
The best part about a lot of this is that I do my best to not look at like what spells you guys have, because I don't want to know. I don't want to prepare for your spells. I would rather because a bad guy's not going to know what spells you have, so why should I know what spells you have? I'd rather you tell me I'm using this spell. I'm like, oh my god, you have that? That's great. Like the moment when Al is grappling the gunman who's trying to shoot Lena, and Ensemble says they cast Silvery Barbs, which is a fantastic spell for a bard and sorcerer to have. And it's like, I did not know Ensemble had that spell, and that's amazing because for those of you that are not as familiar with that spell, basically it gives whichever character you want to have disadvantage, and then you can take that and give a character that you want to have advantage. So what was like a 19 or a 17 on the die for this bad guy became a 2, and then Al got advantage on the next check they got to make. And that was just like the fact that like I did not know you had that spell. There's no way I could prepare because I didn't look at your sheet. And I don't want to be prepared for that. I want it to be a surprise that I have to then react on the fly to. Or like when Della used Water Bullet, which failed, but still, it's a great spell. It's from, I'm going to plug another creator. I think, now I got to say it right. It's Tales from the Tallgrass. There's got a Japanese word in front of it that I'm not going to mispronounce on a podcast. I'm just going to say, go read it yourself. But the subtitle is Tales from the Tallgrass. It's fantastic. And as soon as it came out, I purchased it because it's like you're playing D&D in a Studio Ghibli movie, which is amazing. And they have all these great subclasses and spells, but a lot of those spells are really fun. There's a spell called like Eat Magic, where when a spell that gets cast at you fails, you as a reaction, you can like regain hit points by like consuming the failed magic. And then like, I think do damage with that. It's crazy. But it's got a whole bunch of fun concepts. But Water Bullet is from, I almost said Seed Bullet, which is a Pokemon move. Water Bullet is from that book of lore, and it's a stupid, crazy spell that's like 5d6 if you're like within 10 feet. So when she said she was casting Water Bullet, I was like, oh, that's gonna one shot this guy. 100% gonna one shot this guy if it hits, and then it missed. But I didn't know she had that spell, and it's really fun. I like to be surprised. I like to react. I plan very loosely sessions. I plan the structure of like, we're going to start here and hopefully end here, but all the middle is whatever you guys want. I like for session 1, I knew we were starting in the basement. We're going to wind up in the bar, and we might end in the bar, or we might not end in the bar. I don't know, but I knew we were going to start in the basement and end up in the bar. I knew who was going to be the bad guys. That's all I knew. Everything else was you guys. We are getting closer to the end of where we're going to have to call this episode. What I wanted to ask is, the episode ends with the untimely demise of the last enemy in sort of a self-inflicted way. When that happened in game, what was your thoughts?
Chomp was disappointed he didn't get to do it himself. He was going after this guy, for him. And kind of took the easy way out, I guess.
And then his spirit comes into the bar and says you weren't supposed to see that. Obviously, we are kind of living in the future in that we have recorded episodes that have not been released yet since then that have resolved this. But for the audience, when that happened in the moment way back when we recorded episode 1, what was kind of your thought process of like, what were your predictions for episode 2 based off of his disembodied spirit saying you weren't supposed to see that?
I think for me, at least, in the same vein of not reading character sheets, I tried not to think about it too much. Chomp didn't see that disembodied person.
That's true. Chomp was in the other room eating the torso.
Yeah, and even if he was in the bar, he wouldn't have seen it. So Chomp still has a very loose understanding of what the hell is going on.
Even today,
with these
even
people.
Many episodes recorded later, Chomp is sort of living Chomp's best life, understanding Bayou is good, men are bad.
More or less.
I guess like following that like train of logic, the only person that would have a thought about it would be Della, who could see the spirit, right? Because none of us could see or presumably hear the spirit. But as like a player, I immediately was thinking of that movie, The Truman Show.
Oh,
have you guys seen that movie?
I love that movie.
With Jim Carrey. And like him saying like, oh shit, you weren't supposed to see that. Like I started thinking like, okay, is there like some greater surveillance type of thing going on? That like all of these people that happen to be in this place at one time are all being watched or tracked in some sort of way, and that it's maybe this is some sort of ploy or something, and then like, oops, something got revealed that wasn't supposed to get revealed, and like, where is that gonna go?
Mm-hmm. So that episode did not end the way that I originally thought it was going to. Because of something that happened in the middle. Full disclosure, Lena was supposed to die in episode 1. She was supposed to full die in episode 1. And the fact that Al immediately leapt to her and cast either Healing Word or Cure Wounds, whatever
Healing Word.
Healing Word. He did that, and a thought occurred to me. What if she doesn't die? How does that change the course of action of the story? And so the entirety of like the entire second half of episode 1 while we were recording, I was like rewriting the story in my head. Like, what if Lena lives? How does that change the trajectory of the group? Does that strengthen the group or weaken the group if Lena does not die? Because a great unifying moment is Lena unjustly dies. Everyone's now locked in, right? Lena unjustly dies. Al is beat to hell because he thinks it's his fault. Della is tortured. Zeb probably would have some connection to it because somebody died in his bar. Onyx would have connection with it for the same reason Onyx does, and Chomp doesn't like men with guns. And then I don't know how Ensemble would feel. Probably not good. Ensemble doesn't like hurting people, so probably not good. But the whole thing was that Lena was supposed to die. So when he did that, and then Della eventually reacted by doing Spare the Dying, I was like, okay, Lena lives. What next? And the rest of the episode was like little wheels in my head turning to try to catch up to what was happening in the present day. And I feel like seeing where we are now, that the audience will get to see in the coming weeks and months, I don't see a way that this story could not have gone this way, where Lena lives. Sort of where we are now. Without revealing too much, the fact that Lena lives alters the chemistry of the group a lot, because now we have this constant NPC with us. And I feel like she's had some real fun moments in the coming episodes. Also, I always love having an NPC that's like follows the group. I think that's fun. I think it adds fun dynamic where you're not all just talking to each other, and there's like a bit of the world involved directly with like you're playing. I think that's great. Usually the only NPCs I get to be are the bad guys, so sometimes it's nice to be an ally. I get to be the bad guys all the time and do bad Cajun accents while I try to be a dick. But I think that is going to take us to the end of this first episode of Roll Again. We're going to do this every other week on the off weeks where we release episodes. All future episodes of Roll Again will be exclusive to Patreon, except for like ends of chapters. We might release ends of chapters for full streaming, but we're probably not going to hit the end of a chapter for a little bit. So next Roll Again will be exclusive to Patreon. If you want to keep hearing us talk about episodes and hear background information about us, about the game, about the world, about our players, about ourselves, you'd have to subscribe, and that can be found by joining the society on Patreon. The link is in all the descriptions for all the streaming wherever you are streaming. Like I said, it's a $1 tier for getting in the Discord and a $5 tier for getting in for the exclusive bonus material. Also, when you join, you'll be able to hear our 10 Candles one-shot, as well as other one-shots that we are going to release throughout all of time. I don't know how to say that. We're at release in the future. Joe's like laughing at me behind his mic when I said all of time.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity. We're also going to have more of us in them in the future. Tonight just ended up being kind of a rough night for a lot of people, and that's okay. We're not always going to have all of us. Some nights we might have all of us. Some nights we might have just the 3 of us, or a couple of us, or 5 of us, as opposed to 7. Getting 7 people's schedules to work together is rough. It's the perpetual problem with D&D games. But we're going to make it work. So,
But if you subscribe, if enough people subscribe,
we can all quit our jobs.
We can all quit, and then it'll be really easy to find time to do it.
In all seriousness, I probably won't quit my job, even if enough. I love my job. Hey, all you people who hate your jobs, I'm really sorry. I love my job so much. So I probably won't quit my job because I really like my job, but maybe other people who don't like their jobs can leave their jobs.
So then how are we supposed to schedule our time together?
I have never had an issue
If you're working all the
scheduling my time. I'm the one who's always here.
Well, we're going to have to work in your office hours or something like that.
Just playing D&D in the middle of Crane School music.
Yep.
I'm sure the dean will have something to say about that. The dean of Crane, if you hear this, I don't do that. In all seriousness, though, if you want to hear more of this behind-the-scenes content and other bonus episodes, like our 10 Candles one-shot, we also have a Halloween one-shot we just recorded a little while ago. We're going to be doing some more Christmas one-shot coming up, where I have a really fun sneak peek into the world of sort of a flashback of Barrier Cities, where we're going to play a one-shot in coastal Germany. And you're going to hear me talk. You're going to hear me talk. I can't even do it. I can't do a German accent right now. I just went British for a second. That's not right. I'll work on a German accent. It'll be really bad, just like my Cajun accent, and then we can all have a great time. Until next time, next week episode 2 comes out, so hopefully everyone enjoys that. And I don't have a sign off for the episode. What should we say at the end of these episodes? How about this? Does someone have
too much pressure.
so much pressure. Does someone have a die in front of them? Does someone have a die? Okay. Roll a wisdom saving throw right now.
12 plus Chomp's not wise. No, wait. He's wiser than he is smart. Hold on. I'll pull it up on my phone. We'll edit this out. 13.
A 13. What's something that would happen on a 13 wisdom save? On a 13 wisdom save, you would be wise enough to join the wisdom tier of Saving Throw Society's Patreon. Until next time, everyone, this is Roll Again signing off. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.